Hey there, folks. I'm Matt Hansen,
And I'm John Johnson.
and you're listening to Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, the podcast where we discuss favorites we've reread, both classic and new comics we want to read, and everything else in between.
And here's the comic we picked this week.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Planes, Trains, and Comic Books. Today, we are conquering, tackling, introducing, all this kind of stuff, the wonderful character of MiracleMan.
MiracleMan.
We're doing the first volume. MiracleMan, for all those who don't know, is it's not an Alan Moore original creation, but it's an Alan Moore redone, awesomely creation. MiracleMan was basically a ripoff of Marvel Man, who is actually Shazam. He was called Shazam. Used to be called Marvel Man back in the day, until Marvel sued them and then won that case. So they can't call Shazam Marvel Man. That's why they just call him Shazam now, or they call his book Shazam.
Yeah.
And then or no, Captain Marvel. I guess Captain Marvel was
Captain
his
Marvel,
name.
that's right.
But then this guy was actually called Marvel Man. That's what it was. This guy, MiracleMan, was Marvel Man originally in the 50s or whatever. Then they changed his name to MiracleMan for this book, I believe. After like the first issue or something, or after like the magazine came out and they're like, "Hey, you can't say that." He's like, "Oh shit, okay, we'll call it MiracleMan."
MiracleMan.
So they call it MiracleMan to, copyright, not have copyright infringement. But this is, for all intents and purposes, Alan Moore writing Shazam and what that would entail in like Alan Moore's fucked up,
Crazy head.
degenerate, like breaking down of superheroes' head. And he does it wonderfully in this. And I gotta say, I think I read these before. I did like a couple of breakdowns on YouTube about these, but definitely these are. I mean, when I first was like, "Oh, I'll read MiracleMan," I was like, "Well, it's Alan Moore at like 19 or whatever." It's probably like proto Alan Moore.
Yeah.
Like, it's not quite.
Like you can see little like.
Yeah, you can tell the spark of Alan Moore is there. No, like I said, I think I said this last time. Alan Moore was born with a pen in his hand, out of
full beard,
out of his mom, full beard, magic book. He's learning about Aleister Crowley in the womb. He had all of his ideas formed apparently, because this book is literally spot on. Feels like Alan Moore wrote it yesterday. I mean, like, it feels like he wrote it in his primest of primes, right during Watchmen, right during all those great books that he wrote, Swamp Thing, all that stuff.
Yeah, it's very well written.
It is. I mean, I can't. I mean, I almost can't think of a better superhero book like that he could have written, and the fact that he wrote it like his first thing here is kind of like amazing.
God damn it.
Yeah, I'm like, how do you be that good? But anyway, enough sucking him off.
Wow.
But this book, hey, this book kind of touches on those things.
That's true, I guess.
So, this book, MiracleMan, Volume 1, is called A Dream of Flying. And
you should say that if you try to look it up by Alan Moore, though, you will not find it.
you will not find it because Alan Moore did not give credit or give his license for his name on this. So on the inside, it just says written by the original writer, whoever that may be. That is Alan Moore, actually. But it was fairly confusing because the first issue of this book looks like it takes place in the 50s. They did such a good job of recreating the 50s feel, the 50s layouts, that I was like, wait.
Yeah, it looks exactly.
Is this Alan Moore? Did I pick up the wrong book? So that was funny. The first time I read it, I was like, okay, I'm just going to go with it. I think this is correct, but maybe I'm wrong. And then the last page verified, no, this is correct. So,
and I never read this. Matt's been telling me for some time, like, we should read MiracleMan. It's like, oh, okay, we'll hold off though because you're gonna read for the podcast.
Yeah,
but like, you really need to read MiracleMan.
Yeah. So we're actually gonna do a 3-week, 3-part series. Yeah, we're gonna do them all.
Yeah.
I'm saying this is 16 issues. It's its own little universe.
I'm down because this first part was a fast read too. It was fun, complete, compact, and just like,
for Alan Moore, it's a fast read. I'll say.
Yeah, that's definitely
it
true.
is not From Hell. There's a reason why we haven't done From Hell or Watchmen on this podcast yet, and it's not because those aren't great books. It's because you got to read basically a full book of Shakespeare or something, and then we have to break it down in an hour.
Yeah.
It's fairly hard.
I was gonna say if when we eventually do I'm sure
we will do Watchmen for sure.
It will probably be a 2-part podcast,
at least,
like a to be
at
continued.
least a 2-part podcast because there's a lot in that book.
Because there's no way.
Yeah, there's no way. It's 12 issues. There's no way we could do that, and it's not Long Halloween. We can't just cram it into an hour and a half. So, but this is Alan Moore doing superheroes, deconstructing, but in like the best way possible. It's not like he hates this hero. You can tell he probably grew up reading this hero and was like, you have those questions like, well, like if Shazam, or if Captain Marvel says Shazam, and someone standing next to him and the lightning bolt comes down, wouldn't that just blow them up or whatever? And they never say that in DC because, it's fun. We're just going to say no. We're just going to say it only affects him. But, in this book, he's like, no, this is like the real world. If you're standing next to MiracleMan and he says his magic word and he turns into MiracleMan, you're gonna get
some electrocution.
You're gonna get high radiation / limbs blown off. So things like that, or like, where does Billy Batson go when Shazam comes out, and where does Shazam go when Billy Batson comes out?
Yeah, seriously.
These things are answered in this book, and it was a really fun, fantastic idea of researching those things and like digging deep in some of those questions that are kind of obvious that like an adult reading the book would go,
wait a minute.
Yeah, wait, let's scratch the surface of this little deeper. So, enough of that. Enough about teasing the Alan Moore-ness of this book. We'll get straight into it here. So, like we said, this book starts off in the 50s, but the original writer of this, like we said, is Alan Moore. The art, at least at first, is by Gary Leach and Alan Davis. There's also a bunch of other people that do this book as well, like Steve Dillon, who you might know from like Preacher. There's also Rick Veitch, and I think Total Ben even gets into this, and the guys who did Swamp Thing, and Rick Veitch did Brat Pack, and just like everybody who was before they were anybody did art on this book when Alan Moore was writing it. So, and this was originally published by Eclipse Comics, which is why this book is not for children. This book is very violent. It has nudity. I don't remember too much swearing in it, but the concepts are definitely higher than like a child or whatever, maybe like a adult, like a 17-year-old or something, 16-year-old.
Matt pointed this out to me when we read it. So he actually had the hardcover, so he let me borrow that. So I read the physical comic this time.
Whoa!
But when we were looking,
there's physical comics still.
When we were looking online, I was like, "What does this mean?" There's a like the regular version, and then there was like what did it say, like newsstand version or something?
Yeah, no, there was like the comics code version, which is like the Marvel version.
What?
So I was telling him, so Marvel got the rights to this after the 25. I think there was a lawsuit for a really long time that just blocked this from ever being reprinted. So if you wanted to read this for 30 years after this, you had to go find back issues and read them individually. No way to reprint them. Until 2016, Marvel apparently won whatever lawsuit that was. Maybe Disney's money helped that or whatever. Yeah, Disney backed him up, and that was it. And so maybe that's why Alan Moore's like, "Fuck you," because they probably took it from him or something. And so they reprinted it, and they reprinted it in issues because it had never been put out in issues. And they, being Marvel can't have book with tits in it. It can't have books where people's legs are getting blown off and people's faces burned and just crazy shit's going on. So like they had to put, here's like the censored version, the Marvel kid version on the shelf. And then they had the original version. I can't remember what they called it, but it was just like, the
extreme
the extreme version. And then, the PG-13, and then there was a PG-13 and then there was an NC-17. That's basically what it was. So, yeah, that's how this was released. Then they came out with these hardcovers, which quickly went out of print, which is why I was scrambling to buy them before they went out of print. And they are $40 a piece, which is not easy to scrounge up, for each book. And like I said, this first story has 4 issues, and it's $40. They really were like, you can't get them anywhere else. Fuck you. We're Marvel. You will pay for these. So, they went all out in making you pay for them for sure. But these are such good books. I'm actually like, okay, I'll do it.
All right, Marvel.
I'll do it. You could have just printed this in one big volume for $40.
Probably.
It was 16 issues.
Alan Moore, even though they didn't put that on the book.
Yeah.
But you know it.
Yeah. They put the original writer all in caps so you know who it is. But,
1956.
Yeah. So the first story of this, the first issue is called Prologue, 1956, The Invaders from the Future. And this, we get introduced to the MiracleMan family, much like the Shazam family or the Captain Marvel family. Where there's like, if you saw the movie, there's Billy Batson and he's got his whole bunch of friends. There's Mary Marvel. There's a fucking rabbit. There's a dog or whatever. There's like a bunch of animals and other people that become, part of this stupid, family.
As they tend to do eventually in a lot of superheroes.
Yes. I mean, yeah, even Superman had
gets
crypto
eventually, yeah.
I mean,
Frog, Thor, Throg.
Throg, but that was just like a little side what if story or something. There was actually like
but then he becomes like part of the.
No, I know. I mean, yes, it eventually does. But I'm saying, Batman had what's the dog's name?
Oh, like in the that's right. I forgot he eventually has one in the.
Yeah, he has one in the. But in Batman Beyond, the dog that he has is named the same thing. I can't remember. It's not Bruce. It starts with B though. I think I can't remember. But either way, eventually when they're trying to make stuff for kids, they're like, kids like animals, right? So they do that. But this is like, hey, we got to have a whole family. So there's MiracleMan proper, then there's young MiracleMan, then there's Kid MiracleMan, and each one's about 5 to 10 years younger than the other. So there's one that's like 30, one that's like 20, and one that's like 10. And so they,
I love they went with Kid MiracleMan and not like Kid Miracle.
yeah, or Miracle Kid or something
like that. It's Kid MiracleMan.
Yeah, of course. And you know what he says? So we see the Kid MiracleMan is walking, or the kid of Kid MiracleMan. So his name is Johnny Bates. He's walking. He, of course, just happens to see, and like we said, this is all in 50s style. So it looks like a 50s book. It's got the dot matrix. It's written exactly like it, where everybody's thinking everything they're saying, and there's like, suddenly from the sky, it's like all this, over dialogue and over narration and everything. So but Johnny Bates is walking. It's 1956. He sees aliens land. They come out. They're like, we're from the 80s.
Holy macaroni.
And they get out of their ship. They proceed to shoot everybody that they see, all the local people and everything. Kid MiracleMan is like, or Johnny Bates is like, I got to do something. Gee whiz, or whatever. And then he says his magic word, which is
MiracleMan.
MiracleMan. So instead of saying whatever word MiracleMan says, he says MiracleMan to turn into Kid MiracleMan, which I think is dumb. But whatever.
I'm sure that was.
Those are for British people in the 80s, apparently, or in the 50s. They're like, yeah, makes sense to us.
And by atomic power.
Yeah, he's got atomic power. He starts fighting the bad guys from the 80s. He's taking them on pretty well. He's kicking them and stuff. Then he's like, man, this is a blast. I should go get some help because there's a lot of these guys. And so he goes over to his buddy. What's his name? Dickie Dauntless, which is a great name.
That's
Dick Dauntless. And he's like, hey, Dick, you got to help me. You need to turn into young MiracleMan.
Poor name if I've ever heard it.
Yes, there you go.
Dick Dauntless.
Dick Dauntless. Dauntless Dick. So young MiracleMan's word is also MiracleMan. So he turns into young MiracleMan. Dick Dauntless turns into young MiracleMan. Like we said, that guy's 20. That's why he's just young. He's not a kid. He's just young. And so they both fly over, start punching these 80s fascist.
Yeah, they're fascist stormtroopers.
Stormtroopers, basically. Alien. But they're humans, but they're alien looking. They got spacesuits on for some reason. We don't know why.
But 50 spacesuits with a big glass helmet.
Yes. Then Michael Moran sees in the paper that day, that morning, that hey, there's aliens attacking and they're killing everybody. And he's like, it looks like a job for MiracleMan. And he says his magic word, which is Kimota, which is atomic backwards. It's spelled with a K, though, at the end, or at the beginning, I guess.
Just to get the point across. You could say it with a C.
Yeah, it looks so much better with a K, though. If you try to write it with a C, that just doesn't look right. So the good on whoever designed
Kimota.
That. Yeah. So he says Kimota, and he turns into MiracleMan. And they proceed to all three start beating the shit out of these guys. Now they have joined the army. The army has now been deployed and is fighting them, and they have just been nonstop punching the fuck out of all of these people. But they're not making any headway. There's too many of them. But finally they are able to kind of beat them back. And the guy's like, I'm from 1981. I know what I'll do. I'll just go take my Chrono Cruiser back to 81 and then come back with more people or whatever.
Yeah, I see
weapons.
how strong you are, and we'll come back and be better.
So when he does that, they're like, we'll never let you go back to 1981. They blew up the ship, the Chrono ship or whatever. So now the bad guys can't go back in time, but Kid MiracleMan and Young MiracleMan, MiracleMan and Young MiracleMan are like, hey, Kid MiracleMan, you stay here.
Keep fighting.
We are going to go to 1981 now that they're not there. And we are going to basically help the world where they're at.
Stop them before they come. Basically.
Yes, to stop them.
Terminator.
Yes, exactly. There you go. So, but how they do that is they just say it with atomic speed.
Atomic speed, that's all that matters.
Apparently, this is in the 50s when they're like, atoms, science, you can't tell us what to do. So they show up before these guys launched their ships
and wrecked
their ships in the 80s.
Ha-ha!
Amazing. And the guy's like, how did you know we were? And he's like, we came back from the future or from the past.
From the past,
and then
and you told us everything, loser.
Yeah. Then, they meet, a guy from
the future.
The future.
1981.
Yeah, from 1981. He's like, thank you guys. It's so great. The science Gestapo was threatening our society for too long. Now we can go back to our utopia. And they're like, no problem, pal. Let's go back to our time. They fly back to the 50s where they see Kid MiracleMan and they're all happy together. And they're like, well, that was quite an adventure. Sounds unbelievable. Ha, 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 ha. And then that's them. And then we see, and this is how you know it's a modern book now. We see Mike Moran, MiracleMan, he's like smiling, and then it starts zooming in on his eyeball, and then it slowly becomes modern day art.
Yeah.
So like we see the dot matrix starts fading, and then it's like a close up of an 80s comic book artwork eyeball, and then we cut to 1982. And there are some terrorists driving into town, and they're just driving.
We don't know why. All we know is that there might be something nuclear involved.
Yes, we're not 100% sure. And then we cut to Michael Moran, who is now 40-something years old, 42 or whatever. And he is having a bad dream again. That same dream. He can hear the screaming, and he sees a ship. He's in space. He's flying as this MiracleMan. He doesn't know who this guy is. And there's Young MiracleMan and Kid MiracleMan, and there's a ship, and it's in trouble, and they're gonna do something. They're gonna help it, and then as they approach it, it blows up, it explodes, and there's a sound of thunder. And then there's a word he can't quite make out the word, but like it's on the tip of his tongue, and then he wakes up, and he's like, "What the fuck?" And then his wife is like, "Mike, what's wrong? Like you're having that dream again, weren't you?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I got that migraine." So. His wife is named Liz, or his girlfriend. I don't know if it's his girlfriend or wife right here, but they eventually get together or whatever. So, but yeah, I will say his wife. His wife Liz is talking to Mike, who is, like we said, 40 now. He is older. He looks like MiracleMan, but a jowly,
kind of grizzled. Yeah,
he's got jowls. He's got like a little bit of pot belly. He does wear like similar clothes colors, like yellow and blue. A lot of yellow and blue. And he's a journalist, and so
works for the Daily Bugle.
Yeah, which John was like, "How'd they get away with that?" I'm like, "How did they get away with anything in this book?"
So yeah,
I think it's because it's from Eclipse Comics, and they're like, "We don't give a shit about copyright, except we can't call it Miracle. We can't call it Marvel Man.
Yeah,
that's the only thing we couldn't do. But other than that, so he goes to cover whatever. There's some like protests against radiation and shit." And then in the middle of this protest, these terrorists that we saw earlier show up.
Aha!
And they're like,
we're basically we're gonna steal plutonium.
Yeah, we're gonna steal plutonium. You know, you come with us. They take Michael Moran, and remember, he's got his headache and everything. He's having a hard time with his migraine, and he's still like something is like something is in his brain, like almost wanting to come out, but he still can't quite figure it out because Michael Moran doesn't realize who he truly is until the terrorists are like, this guy's sick. Like, we need to take him like out back or something. He's gonna throw up or whatever. Like, yeah, take him. So this one guy's taking him back, and all of a sudden he remembers the word. You see, like all these words kind of fly around in his head, and they're all backwards. And he's like, suddenly the word is there, swimming before him, blurred through a fog of pain and nausea, but as recognizable as destiny. And then he sees it, and he says, Komoda. And all of a sudden, he turns into MiracleMan, and he's like, what the fuck? And then the guy who was walking him, the terrorist who was walking him back to the other side of the building to throw up or whatever, he gets his legs blown off, and half of his face burnt, and half of his body just radioactive burns and everything. Because you got to remember, MiracleMan is radioactive. He's atomic power. So, yeah. And the dude is like, oh my God, I'm blind. Jesus Christ.
Oh, his eardrums burst.
My eardrums, my fucking legs, like just everything's fucked up. And so then all of a sudden he's like, I'm MiracleMan. I remember now. So like we see, he's like, it's weird because he looks young, like a super young, sparkly version of Mike. And he's got like a yellow and blue costume and everything. His spandex is on. And another terrorist is like, oh my God, they barbecued Jim or whatever. And they like start shooting at him, and it doesn't do anything. And he's just like, oh, MiracleMan, boom. And he like claps his hands, and they fall backwards in extreme pain. I don't know if they also had their eardrums burst and whatnot, but.
I mean, I'm sure something. It was like there was noise and then silence, deathly silence.
Deathly silence. Yeah. So I don't know if they died or they were just all deaf or whatever. Let's just say their bodies are not having fun right now.
No.
And so he breaks out and he's like, it's over. I can't believe it. I'm MiracleMan. I'm back.
And we find out he's not been out as MiracleMan in 18 years.
Yeah. So the outing or the dream that he's been having is the last time he was MiracleMan. So the 50s comic that we read, that was in the 50s. Then they continued to live until I think it's the 60s.
And something happens.
And then something happens. We don't know what, but we assume it was that spaceship that he was in space looking at, and then it blew up or whatever. Yeah, whatever his dream was. And then that's where he was last as MiracleMan. So and then he's been living as Mike Moran the whole time with these weird dreams and everything. And so that is the first issue of the new rebirth of MiracleMan. And then but this is like the greatest thing. So, you know, his wife Liz is watching all this on TV. She's like, oh my God, that's where like Mike was and what's going on. And she like, you know, she's watching the TV very like intently because she's like, oh, hopefully he's okay or whatever. And then she hears someone come in, and she's like, Mike, is that you? And he's like, yeah, baby, don't worry about it. And like, it's him, but he looks like fucking Miracle.
He's in his spandex. He's MiracleMan.
Yeah, and he looks all young. And she's like, oh my God. He's like, it's your husband. It's me. I'm Mike. And she's like, what the fuck? So he's like, I'm going to call the police. And he's like, no.
Yeah, she like does not believe it.
Yeah, she has to like, she's like, you're saying you're my husband. He's like, look at me. Like, it's not my, I mean, it's.
Yeah, don't look at my chiseled body. Look at my face.
Look at my face. Like, you can totally look at my eyes. Yeah. These old eyes or whatever. And it looks like him, like we said, young. And she's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And so she's all happy that he's alive and everything. And then he kind of tells her what happened. And then
he tells her that, but he also kind of is like, so this.
He has to tell her like how he, like his origin story.
His, and for the reader, yeah, like this great, like kind of like specter wizard from like.
So here's the origin story of MiracleMan, Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel.
So a wizard chose a boy / a man in this to say a magic word and fight the evils of the world.
Yes, he will be the champion of justice and enemy of evil.
Yes, and All he has to do is say Komoda. So him and Kid Miracle Man and Young Miracle Man, that's their origin story. Is this weird like wizard gave him powers, and that's it.
Yeah, he gave him powers, and Miracle Man shared those powers. Was able to.
Yeah, with Young Miracle Man.
Yeah,
and Kid
that's why their magic word is Miracle Man, because he gave them the power.
Now, how did he give them those powers?
Just like Shazam, you touch him or something. I don't know.
Touch him.
I don't know. Well, I mean, I hope it's not like Brat Pack.
It is like Brat Pack. I'm sorry to tell you, it is like Brat Pack. They don't go into that necessarily, but yes, they that is how they were created. It shows them like fighting all these bad guys and everything. She's like, oh my god!
I really like the old bad guys, like, because they're very like cartoony. As far as like the names, there's like Firebug, and it looks like a little like kind of like Ladybug on fire, Young Nasty Man, and like some like lizard creature, and they're just fun characters.
Yeah, and then they say like, and the worst of all was the genius called Dr. Gargunza, who was like the real evil madman behind all the real evil in this book, or whatever. So that's kind of like the big bad.
They're like Luthor or whatever.
Yes, basically, and or they're Dr. Sylvania from Captain Marvel.
Excuse me.
Shazam. Anybody see Shazam? I don't know. So, she's just like, and he's like, oh yeah, there was a miracle dog, and like so he's talking about it, and she's like, this is crazy, and they call us the Miracle Family and everything. So, then he's like, but then something, he explains. Then something happened. We were in space. There was a ship that was like hovering, and Gargunza had this sky fortress. So we were going to blow it up or check it out or whatever, stop it. And as they got just in range of what could hurt them, the A-bomb went off that was in the ship. And that's the last thing he remembers. It wasn't a game anymore. He said he saw Young Miracle Man disintegrate, like totally blow up. So, and he also says, I don't think did he say if he saw Kid Miracle Man?
I don't think he knows what happened to Kid Miracle.
Yeah, he doesn't know what happened to Kid Miracle Man, but Young Miracle Man, he says for sure was fucking dead. So, yeah, we cut to another person who we don't know, and it says like the TV's on. It says a picture of what appears to be a human figure flying, but may merely be hurtling fragments of debris caused by. And then you see a guy be like, Miracle Man, he's back to spoil everything. And you're like, well, who the fuck is this guy? So we're obviously setting up this story arc, right? And so then we see after that story, she's like, well, let me cure your ails with my body.
I do love that he's like sparkling all the time too.
Oh,
like, these
all the time.
So I can only imagine that's like keeping her attention.
Twilight. I'm just gonna say
Twilight.
All right, this is the first Twilight. Fuck, she must have read this. No, she's not cool enough to have read this. Stephanie Meyer. No way she read this. But yeah. Anyway, this is where you see there's some adult content, some nudities and some bosoms.
I thought you said nude titties.
No, nudities, but well, I mean there are.
Yes,
but also bosoms are in it.
Yes.
So, but yeah, she and him have slept together in the night, and she was wowed by his sparkly hot bodiness, and she's like, "It's Mike. It's like it's better Mike.
It's Mike. It's chiseled Mike.
Yeah, it's like Mike, but better. It's like Mike 2.0, And who wouldn't want to fuck a god? You know what I'm saying? And so then he's like, "Oh fuck, I gotta go to work. Let me change back," and he changes back into his thing. So then he gets a call after he changes back into himself, and then he immediately gets a phone call, and the phone call is like, you don't see what's happening on the other line on the person talking, but he's like, "Hello, yeah, this is Mike. What? You're joking, Johnny? I thought you were dead." So they already set up that
It's Kid Miracle.
Kid Miracle Man.
Kid Miracle Man. Pardon me.
John, say it right.
Miracle Man.
Thank you. Kid Miracle Man lived, apparently, and he, as Johnny, is still alive and is like, "Hey, why don't you come? I can't believe you're alive. I thought you were dead too. Why don't you come have some lunch or whatever?
Yeah, come to London.
Yeah, come to London. Check out. I'm like a big success. He's like Elon Musk now. He's like, Zuckerberg. He's Zuckerberging it up.
Something like that, yeah.
Actually, he's a lot more like Zuckerberg than we know. But but yeah, so he's rich and he's got his own tower and everything, and when he gets there, John was saying this, he's like, I instantly knew he was fucking evil. Like,
yeah, they don't really try to hide it with his facial
features.
features.
His eyebrows give it away. But yes, he looks like a fucking evil elf in this.
Yeah,
one.
they're like, hey, John, or no longer Johnny, John now. They shorten John. It's good to see you, and he's like, yeah, it's good to see you. I'll tell you what happened. Like, I was a little far away, and I got hurt too, but I lost my powers, but I retained my memories. So.
Yeah, so it's all good. I just, I retain my memories, retain my super smarts and stuff or whatever. So
that's why I was able to accomplish so much stuff.
Yeah, it's all good. And so, they're talking. And now, if you think about it, how old is he? He was like 12 or something, and so now it's been 18 years, so he's the same age as MiracleMan was.
Yeah.
Or is now still, I guess, the original MiracleMan. But like Mike is now 48 or whatever. So like he's now older. He's like, oh my God, I can't believe you look so old or whatever, and so then they're talking. He's like, why don't you come hang out with me today? We'll go to my office or whatever. And then you can kind of the conversation gets dark where he
both in what they're talking about, and then also like the sky gets dark and like you kind of see his eyes in the sky too. It's very
they go from like white irises to like red starry irises. He's like the tiger eyes, like he's basically talking about how I thought with you guys gone, I mean basically I could just not turn back into Johnny, and now I would be the most powerful person in the world. They're like, what? Wait, you're still Kid MiracleMan? He's like, yep. I fucking fooled you, and now I'm going to kill you because I don't want you to stop me and say your magic word or whatever.
Yeah, because I've already, the whole point is, I've been here. I'm going to be the most powerful one now.
Yeah, he doesn't, he's like, basically what a kid would do if a kid had superpowers. He's like, wait, Dad's gone? I could take over the world.
I'm in charge now.
Yeah, I'm in charge now. I get fucking ice cream for breakfast. All right. So he basically did that for 18 years. And now he is so the way they explain this is Kid MiracleMan has been Kid MiracleMan for 18 years solid with no Johnny. And so he's actually well honed his powers. He's possibly stronger than MiracleMan was when MiracleMan was 30 or whatever. And we know that because Mike turns into MiracleMan. And before he does that, though, you should say the thing you were talking about.
Oh, this is one of my favorite. Yeah, he shows him and he powers up and he's like, I was kidding.
He had his secretary get coffee for them.
Yeah, and he's like, see, I'm Kid
MiracleMan.
Well, yeah, he's just like, yeah, see, I didn't lose my powers because he's not saying his name either because he basically.
Oh yeah, if he says MiracleMan, the word MiracleMan, he will turn back into.
Yeah, so he's basically just like, haha, see, I'm the most. I actually have my powers. I'm super powerful. I'm probably even more powerful than you were in your prime.
Yes.
And so yeah, he had sent his assistant away for coffee, and so the Mike and Liz are like, we gotta get out of here. So as they're running away, he's kind of following him in his in a floaty form, and that's when his assistant comes back in and is like, hey, Mr. Bates, I got your coffee. And then she's freaking out because
she sees him flying,
so she drops it, and he's like, you dropped my coffee, Stephanie.
And then he looks into her eyes, grabs her head, and he shoots lasers into her face and blows her head up.
Yeah, he just Superman laser eyes her through her head.
Burns through her skull because she dropped the coffee.
Yeah, and that's why he turns around to Mike and he's like, you know why I did that? Because I can, and I don't care about anyone.
Go fuck yourself. I'm the most powerful man ever. And then
it was pretty.
Mike's like, you think so? Well, guess what? Komoda. And so he says the magic word. He turns into MiracleMan. They start fighting. But like we said, this MiracleMan's been in hibernation for 18 years. His muscles ain't stretched or nothing. He didn't remember who the fuck he was. So Kid MiracleMan is now kicking his ass. He's literally burning his fucking face the face of Miracle Man with like radiation burns. He's kicking his ass completely. It's pretty amazing.
I do like while they're fighting out in the street, and this little kid is like kind of running in the way. He's like,
Yes, this is
like-
amazing. There's like a mom with a baby and
like a toddler.
and he grabs the toddler, throws the toddler.
And yeah, the mom's like, Wayne, wait up, and he's like, oh, you think you're gonna be safe with Superman, huh? Basically, and he picks up the kid and throws it.
Throws Wayne, throws the kid. Then Miracle Man saves the kid, catches him like as he's about to hit a building, and then he brings the kid back, which I thought was fucking fantastic. It's just a great like.
I thought they were doing like opposite of like I thought it was like baby Bruce Wayne, basically like opposite of they were gonna kill baby Bruce Wayne.
Oh, I know,
and that was gonna be like Martha or something. That's why I thought it wasn't.
No, they're not doing that. He's not that on the notes with this.
But. Well, they were saying Superman, like they literally said Superman too.
Well, they're just saying I am a Superman. I am the Ubermensch, because they also talk about this book references like Zarathustra and like the spake Zarathustra and like the Nietzschean idea of like the Ubermensch, and so that's basically what Kid Miracle Man has become. Is
He
like,
thinks of himself. Okay.
Yeah, he thinks of himself as the Ubermensch, so the Superman, as they say.
Yes.
And so, he goes fucking crazy. They go after each other completely. And he beats the fuck out of Miracle Man. He is, fairly handedly beating Miracle Man to the point where I was like, wow, I don't know how he's going to get out of this one.
It was fun. They go up in the air, and then like he thinks he gets away from him for a minute, and then I guess he like kind of like particleizes himself and then comes back together behind Miracle Man.
He has all these powers that Miracle Man never had because he's been practicing for 18 years.
And I like that he's like, oh, I'm sorry, are we up too high? And he like grabs him and like it kind of almost went Dragon Ball Z a little last too, like and flies him back towards the ground. I think it's at like Mach 3 and like just craters Miracle Man into the ground.
Yes.
And then I guess while Miracle Man is basically seemingly out of it, he's like, okay, I'm gonna go kill Liz now.
Yes, and that was like that's all that Mike needed to hear, because then he goes all out, tries to save him, or tries to save her, and he's just getting his ass kicked, and this is like the best way for a villain to be defeated. So the villain, Kid Miracle Man, he's all cocky and he's doing his bad guy speech, right? Like, yeah. I can't believe it. You think you can beat me, and now I'm gonna finish you off. Me, adoring junior protege. Me, Kid Miracle Man. And then he's like, And then when he says the end, he turns back into Johnny because he said Miracle Man. And then, so then there's like this little Johnny kid who's from the 50s. He still or I guess it's not the 50s. It'd be like 68 or whatever the timeline would be on that. 62, I guess. 62.
But still definitely a kid.
Yeah. And so then he's just like, it wasn't me. It was him. I couldn't stop him, Miracle Man. Not me. Oh, sweet Jesus. And now the word isn't working either. Like, because he says Miracle Man right there and he doesn't turn him back. So it's like something's wrong with his powers now because of what happened. So, but basically, he's now like horribly. He killed a lot of people. He's talked about how many people he's killed. In the middle of this fight, he killed people.
Yeah.
And he's just like, not me. It wasn't me. And it's like, sure, it wasn't, but also.
Well, I mean, but that's like a thing with at least Miracle Man. He realizes that because he's like, okay, I was away for 18 years, so this makes sense. Like that wasn't him. There's obviously a separation.
Yes, but
at least in the moment.
Okay. Well,
I don't know. It's like, don't spoil anything for me, because in the moment he's like, okay.
Because every one of these people is kind of a reflection of their person, right? Yeah. So like Miracle Man looks like a buff, better version of Mike. Mike. And so the same with, and like they share a brain. They know what the other was thinking and do and everything. They know the names of their family members and all that stuff. So, because like when he goes to see Liz, he knows where Liz lives. He knows who Liz is. So it's like they share a brain somewhat. And I would say that probably Johnny is like, there was a part of him in that kid that was like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
What's gonna work? Maybe he didn't realize it was gonna go that far.
Yeah.
But there's like the kid. Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna have fucking candy for breakfast or whatever. Don't tell me what to fucking do. And then that ended up evolving into I'm a fucking supervillain that's murdering people or whatever. So then we cut to another guy whose name is Evelyn Cream or Mr. Cream.
Mr. Cream.
He's got fucking diamond teeth,
sapphire teeth.
Sorry, sapphire teeth. He's very creepy looking. He's kind of like Jaws from like the old James Bond movies. Yeah,
I can see
Moonraker or whatever. But like black guy Jaws. And so we find out there's this whole history. Like basically the Mr. Cream gets a call from this guy who was a scientist on Project Zarathustra, and he's like, "Oh my God, we need to get him now before he finds out or whatever." And so that's where it kind of leaves this story, yeah. And then we cut to
vacation,
a fun vacation in the British countryside. And I don't know why, but for some reason, Mike isn't really wanted as much as MiracleMan.
Yeah, just like, hey, yeah, like I love they go to a spot and they're like, what do you do? And she's like, oh, I'm getting comic books out of the trunk. And he's like, comic books? She's like, we got to see I had to do some research on what all your powers could be. We need to like see what else you might be able to do since you've been in there for 18 years. Also, shouldn't
you change back because like your ribs are broken and stuff, and
Yeah. Why don't you just I love you, Mike, but why don't you go and turn into MiracleMan and see those?
His face just looks so sad in as old Mike.
Yeah,
he realizes, all right, I suppose it is better that I change back into my perfect God form for you. And so yeah, she's basically like,
let's stop looking at those abs in that ass.
Yeah, basically. Can you take your shirt off again? Then we cut to Johnny, who now Johnny is in a asylum, I guess, or he's under some kind of psychiatric care. And basically he's become a vegetable. And I mean that in a comatose way. He's not fully comatose. Like, he's just not responsive, but his eyes are open and stuff. And he's very sad looking. Yeah. And
the reason why
is because in his head, Kid MiracleMan is fucking freaking out and be like, you fucking piece of shit! How dare you! You weak little snot-nosed brat! Like, just freaking out, like harassing him, being like, you fucking virgin! Like, yeah, basically. And I think we were talking about this before. Like, Kid MiracleMan was like one of the reasons why he never changed. Like, I want to fuck. I'm Kid MiracleMan. I want to fuck someone. So like, yeah, that's kind of part of it too. When he was younger and decided not to change not to change back. And so now inside of Kid MiracleMan, inside of Johnny's head, Kid MiracleMan is harassing him like horribly.
Bullying him very, very bad.
Yeah, and then we get like the kind of the hero montage where they're trying to find his. I'm sorry, we cut back to Liz and MiracleMan, and we're trying to find out all his powers, and Liz is going through all of them, like checklist, like kind of like the movie Shazam we saw where his buddy was like super speed. Nope. Or like, like they're doing all the things.
Oh, you're invulnerable.
Yeah. Can you fly?
Oh, yeah.
So they're just doing all this stuff. Super strength, super speed, super everything. And then we cut back to following Mr. Cream. And Mr. Cream is on a mission to find out who this MiracleMan is, like the secret identity, we'll say, of MiracleMan, because like we said, the professor called him and said we need to find out who he is so we can get him back or whatever. So I was always wondering, like, why don't they know who he is?
Yeah, especially because of what we find out.
Yeah,
it seems like they should have known.
They should know who his actual identity is, but maybe not. I don't know. You would think so, but because he was obviously working with the government. Or whatever. So, but either way, they've lost that information apparently. So Mr. Cream goes to the hospital where the man who was the terrorist, who got his legs blown off, who's deaf, who's blind in one eye apparently, and has horrible burns all over like 40% of his body. Mr. Cream goes in there to be like, hey, I know how you were injured, Steve. The guy, what did the guy say? What did he look like?
By doing this, he's also he's obviously writing all this down on a pad of paper.
The guy can't
and showing
hear,
it
right?
to him.
Yeah, he's got to write everything down. And he's like, I'm not going to kill you, I promise. And he's like, which reporter was it? Because the guy's like, the reporter. And he's like, okay, here's a list of the reporters. And then the guy circles Moran. And he's like, good. And then this is like the best part of this, like one of the best part of the comics. He's like, Thank you, Steve. You've been terribly helpful. Oh, and you remember how I promised not to kill you? This is a note. And the guy's like, yeah. And he's like, I was lying, Steve. In a note. He wrote it out, turn it around. Then he proceeds to cover the dude's mouth and, suffocate him to death in the hospital.
With his bare hands.
With his bare hands.
That's pretty cool.
Pretty hardcore. So then we get some more awesome shots of Miracle Man flying and being all gloriously godlike in the sky. And
Miracle Man.
Yeah, very, very happy. Then he turns back into Mike, goes back home, and we get a little surprise.
Liz is pregnant.
Yeah, basically she says I'm pregnant, and he's like, what? And he's like, he doesn't look too happy. We find out
he's like, wait a minute, the baby's Miracle Man's, isn't it?
Yeah, whose baby is it? Is it Miracle Man's or mine? And she's like, what do you mean?
I mean, you're the same person, right?
Yeah, and it's like, obviously it's Miracle Man because she's been like, before we fuck, can you change back into Miracle Man? So yeah, basically he's feeling like I'm number 2, Miracle Man's number 1, and you only want number 1, even though, I mean, you might like parts of me, but who doesn't want to fuck a god? You know what I'm saying? If Wonder Woman came in here, John, if your wife turned into Wonder Woman, wow. I'm just joking. I'm not going down that road. Not going down that road. Your wife is Wonder Woman, John. That's the correct answer.
That's right.
Mine is too.
No, yours is Catwoman.
Both.
Yes.
She's both. Anyway. Before we get in trouble. And we both know that they would fuck
just turn
the
this
Miracle
episode
Man
off
version of us. Now. Yeah, there you go. There's been technical difficulties. Yeah, so anyway.
They never listen to these.
No. Of course
they don't support us.
Yeah, anyway, and we both know if our wives had the chance to fuck the Miracle Man versions of us, they'd of course like the versions of us.
Of course they'd be like, no, we love the squishy,
the original,
the squishy, funny, just caricatures of the people you are. I'm trying to think, how would they?
I have no idea, but they'd be lying, is what they would through their fucking teeth. And so, Anyway, so that's kind of like the main like crux of this whole other arc. At the end of this is like basically he's dealing with he's gonna have a kid, but it's actually Miracle Man's kid.
Yeah, so he doesn't even want to turn back into Miracle Man.
Yeah, he's all kind of pissed off at Miracle Man now. And then he goes out about his day, and Mr. Cream we see is in the background, kind of following him around. And then Mr. Cream comes out of nowhere while he's holding a baby, which I thought was fun. And he's like talking to the baby, and then all of a sudden Mr. Cream comes out and he's like, how are you going to change into Miracle Man without roasting that little innocent baby the way you roasted those terrorists? And the guy can't do anything. Mike can't turn into this or he's going to kill his baby. And so then that gives Cream a chance to shoot him. He shoots him with a gun, which is the weirdest. I got to say, British people, look up what a gun looks like before you drive. It looks like a revolver with a silencer. There is no such thing, people. It doesn't make sense to have a revolver with a silencer. It's a revolver.
I assume that's why the gun goes, what?
Yeah, because it's a silenced revolver. All right. Anyway, that was like come on. We're in Texas, okay? We have weapons here. I know what a gun looks like. That is the most ridiculous looking gun I've ever seen. Anyway.
It's true. They don't have guns in Britain. So.
Yeah. I mean, they're like, if it was a knife, we know what a knife
We know what a knife looks like.
Yeah. We don't know what guns look like. So, but I just thought it was like, wow, that is, I guess this is in the 80s. They didn't have the internet. I guess they couldn't find a reference for a gun in a book or anything. I don't know.
Who knows?
Microfiche? What did they use back in the day? The encyclopedia probably didn't have a silence.
No pictures, yeah.
Maybe they just had a revolver, and he's like, and then a silencer is a piece at the end of the gun. So.
Oh, yeah. The old Clue game. That's all they had was that little piece, and it's an old revolver.
That's ridiculous if that's what they did. Clue. In the game of chess, there's... Anyway. Yeah, so he shoots Mike.
And fades to black.
Then we get like a kind of, I don't know, like a weird Miracle Man's walking through the dark. We're seeing like people talking, like the professor and the government, that the people that called Mr. Cream originally. they're talking about how they need to get him before he finds out about Project Zarathustra and what would happen if you found out. And oh my God. And then we find out that the reason what is actually happening is we thought Mr. Cream was working for these guys, but what's actually happening is he's gone double agent. He's gone rogue.
Crossing.
Yeah. He's like, wait a second. I could find out the secret of MiracleMan that these guys are trying to protect, and I could sell that information to the highest bidder probably. So he's kind of going on his own. He has kidnapped Michael Moran on his own, and he's got him in a warehouse.
And we found out what kind of bullets were they?
They were tranquilizer bullets.
Tranquilizer bullets.
Bullets. So they still shot you, but I guess also instead of being a lead bullet,
they didn't go deep.
Were filled with sleep juice,
sleep
NyQuil.
Juice.
I don't know, Tussin, and so
just bullets, and you can see the liquid go back
some
and
liquid
forth.
in them. Fuck if I know. British people don't know what they're doing. And so, but anyway, Mr. Cream has gone kind of double agent, like we said. He's on his own. He's trying to basically team up with MiracleMan. He tells him what these people have told him. Like, there is Project Zarathustra where you were actually born. All the things you think about how your origin was is fake. You think it was a wizard? That's a memory implanted. This is where you really find out where you came from. Go to this base in the middle of nowhere, and you will find out about Project Zarathustra. And I also want to find out about Project Zarathustra, so we are working together. And that's why I'm helping you out. And so he does that. He goes to this base. He just breaks in. They send, the government guys send another, super being that they have created named Big Ben, who is a comical hero, I guess. I don't know. He's basically he's a dude who has obviously been psychologically broken.
Yeah. But
also maybe while they were trying to mind control him or whatever to be part of this project.
He reminds me of the character from the British Avengers show. Do you recall that?
The show?
Yeah, the Avengers. There's two people. There's the
I know the one that Uma Thurman and Ralph Fiennes
they did the movie too. Yeah, that's the show that.
Correct. I know. Yeah. Show. But he's much more muscular than that.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say that, but on steroids.
It is definitely supposed to be that on steroids.
Okay, yeah.
He's got an umbrella. He's got the little bowler hat and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, he looks like you said, the guy from Ralph Fiennes from the Avengers.
Yeah.
Is it Ralph or Rafe? I don't know which one it is.
I think it's Rafe Fiennes.
I don't know, one of the Fiennes, and and the one that was in
Harry Potter.
Yes. Voldemort. That one.
Yeah. We have some British fans. You got to respect the Avengers. Like some of them, that's their Avengers instead of the actual good Avengers.
You think kids nowadays know who those Avengers are?
Probably not. That's true.
Wow. You give them more credit. I don't think they show that. You think BBC One's showing the old Avengers reruns? I don't know.
I remember I went and saw that movie in theaters with my mom.
Yeah, I saw it too, and it was garbage.
I remember liking it afterwards, but I
also 8.
Yeah, but I was gonna say, but I don't recall going. I know I've gone back and watched clips, but I don't think I've gone back and really watched the movie.
I think there's a reason for that.
Yeah, it's true. It's horrid. Anyway,
that's a movie night movie for that right there for sure.
We should do that for sure. So we have this character, Big Ben.
Big Ben, who, like we said, he's got the same suit on, except you can see every muscle and bulge. He looks they look like tumors though. They're a little too bulky. It's like he's wearing.
It's like The Rock if he was.
Wow, I don't think The Rock looks like he has tumors. This guy looks like he's got a lot more bulges than he's a failed science experiment.
Yeah,
this guy looks like we said, he's psychologically broken, and possibly the steroids were a little over because he looks like Double Dragon, that one guy from Double Dragon, the movie. Have you seen Double Dragon?
It's been so long.
There's a guy that they inject with steroids and he becomes extremely gigantic. He looks like that, but in a suit. Body-wise. His face doesn't look like that, but
That's
just
so long.
Those bulls. Those bulls that look like they're on steroids or whatever.
The super cartoony bulls where they're...
No, I mean the real ones that they made.
Oh, for the
Super Bowls or
the
whatever.
running of the bulls.
No, the ones that they in Texas, or the ones they make here. They inject them. You've never seen the. Oh
I
my
guess
God.
I've not seen those.
Apparently John hasn't seen this, but there is a type of bull that they injected with super growth hormone or whatever that's unable to walk. It's so muscular. It's like, oh, like it just can't walk. So yeah, but it's got so much. It's got the pump all the time. Like every crease in it is just muscle. There's no fat on this cow at all.
Oh, that's
and
weird.
so yeah. Anyway, that's what this guy
That's
looks
this
like
guy.
in his suit. Well, but his mind is also broken. So he's very like weird. He talks in very weird like sentences, and he's
Prepare
just
yourself
off.
for a trouncing, my sizable Soviet friend.
Yeah, they also had to tell him that he was Soviet. That way he would fight him or whatever.
Yeah.
They're lying to him
A
basically.
trouncing.
Yeah. And so, anyway, he basically breaks in, beats the fuck out of this guy. Big Ben can't do anything to him, basically. He just gets the shit beat out of him.
I love that Big Ben like gets all these punches in that do nothing, and he just slaps him away.
Yeah, he literally slaps him. And then Big Ben's like, oh, my back. Like,
My legs are
he's just
broken.
all fucked up. Doesn't do anything. Then, like Dr. Cream's like, or Mr. Cream's like, hey, here, I got some explosive for the door to get into that room or that base. And Miracle Man's like, good one. He smiles at him and he just pulls the door out. And it's like a 2 foot thick metal door that's about 16 feet by 16
Yeah, like
feet or whatever.
glass-proof door. Or whatever.
Yeah. And he just like rips it off the hinges. And he's like, oh my God. And so then they walk into this base and you see it's basically a experimentation room of
Yeah, this
like
is creepy.
kind of like 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 a I don't want to say Nazi science thing, but it's kind of like that. It's supposed to be like evil scientists lair.
Yeah, evil science, but obviously dormant for a while because there's like skeletons.
Yeah, there's all these people they apparently just left there to die.
And rot and then turn into bones. Yeah.
One of them looks like a dinosaur man. The other one looks like a Siamese twin or whatever, or conjoined twins, whatever the correct terminology is.
It looks like someone with 2 heads. So it could.
But also like there's an arm growing out of the middle of them.
there is one. Okay, I missed
Yeah,
that.
and then legs are all they're like facing each other. Yeah, it's obviously conjoined twins.
Conjoined. Okay.
But they but yeah, so he tears this base apart, and what he doesn't see I guess they see that there's videotapes, and they watch these videotapes of everything that happened. Basically, we find out these 3 kids they're orphans from like our Air Force people who died.
Yeah, I guess the kids were still on base. They're like, "We'll just use them. Their parents are dead.
Yeah.
They got no relatives.
No one gives a fuck about them. We're the government. We can do what we want.
Hey, kids,
so-
come here."
Yeah, so they put him in this experimentation place where they don't explain that. I'm going to kind of let you know a little bit extra because I know a little bit extra.
Yeah, because from what this is what I read of it is that there's some alien like DNA or brain that they take and they put that into the kids. They're able to control. They like do something to control that part of the what they put in the kid.
Yes.
And then whatever the word is changes them.
So they basically they have found alien technology which allowed them to. They found the way to make a pocket dimension where the person goes in, like where the super person goes when he's asleep, and then when he says Komodo, that guy comes out and the kid goes into that dimension. And then also the way that they create the super people is like you said with the alien DNA, they are able to make like a clone / super version of that kid, and then control it somewhat, but like they just had to brainwash it to put those memories of the wizard and all that shit. They're not really controlling them too much. As far as like the words, that's the control that they put in. They put in safeguards too, other words that no one knows about as well. Those comes in later on, so we're spoiling.
A little spoiler.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so he's learning all this. Like he's like, oh my god, my life was a lie. And so yeah, just his life is fucking going crazy. And yeah, that's like pretty much he learns everything was a lie. And yeah.
And who's behind it all?
We find out the main guy behind it all, who like left a video message for him, is Dr. Gargunza.
Gargunza!
And he actually yells that, which is fantastic. And so yeah, he's like, I made my own comic book character. Like,
Yeah, that's true. He's like, yeah, you're nothing but a child's comic book character.
Yeah.
And he looks like an evil Rick Moranis.
A little bit. If they made a MiracleMan movie now, which would be amazing if they did.
Hey, Rick Moranis is back to acting. Let's do
yes,
this. Let's do this,
time.
Rick Moranis.
Perfect time.
First comic book movie. Let's get you
I don't know if
going.
they can though, because he's supposed to be South American.
Oh, okay. Well,
Maybe not.
maybe he could do the accent. We don't know.
Fred Armisen.
Oh, there you go. That's true.
He
He's
could
a
also
man of
be.
many accents.
There you go. But he's also, I think, of the isn't he?
I don't remember where he's from. I think he may be.
Okay.
Anyway.
Either way, basically that's how this one ends. We get the like they take away Big Ben. He destroys the whole lab and everything.
Yeah.
They take Big Ben away. The government comes up to clean up this whole mess. And
I do love that there's other like hero characters that we don't know about yet. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, like this whole world is peppered with failed experiments that they bring out when needed, I guess. But yeah, so and that's pretty much it. And then we see these two guys looking through the rubble of this place. They're supposed to clean it up.
Yeah,
it was just great. Like the government's like, we got to clean this mess up. Let's just hire these two fucking dumpster
goons,
guys. Yeah. They're not even goons. They're just like dumpster cleaning people.
Yeah, I was like, the one guy totally looks like a
mobster,
greaser, like lower end guy.
Yeah, but yeah, so they hire these two guys. They actually find the tapes and they watch it all. And they're like, huh, that must be like kid stuff or something, because they're seeing like MiracleMan flying around, and yeah, they're getting all this stuff. And then you see they're like, hey, it's the Avengers, and they're actually, I think it's Big Ben when he was originally.
Before he
got corrupted or fucked up by them or whatever. So yeah, it's just them like fucking everything up and yeah, looking at everything that's in this place. So and then they clean it all up and burn it and throw everything away.
They're like, huh, that's crazy. And then
anyway, vacuum up all the ashes of people that were burned to death and whatever. So
just throw these bones in the trash.
Yeah,
whatever.
These
tapes, dinosaur head.
Yeah, exactly. Just throw these tapes in the trash. We're all good. So yeah, that's where we leave it. That's the end of this story arc. The next story arc is fucking amazing. I did a review of that. Just that.
I know I didn't listen to it specifically because cool. I just in case, because I knew we were reading this first. I didn't want to get like too ahead of this. So
yeah. So like we said, we are going to power through MiracleMan series next week, volume 2 of MiracleMan, which is fucking fantastic. So
I'm excited.
I can't wait. But back to volume 1, John. What would you give this one?
Oh, I loved it, man. It was a lot of fun. Like you said, because I know how Alan Moore went at it. Like if I did know that backstory of this, I would be like, well, this is a shitty ripoff of this and that, and they just pull all these things. But knowing
there's a tongue-in-cheekness.
Exactly. But knowing that Alan Moore and exactly like you said, like the tongue-in-cheekness of it, the deconstructiveness of it, where and like the things that they answer of like, I kind of always wondered, like those kind of things. Yeah. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And
like, where does Billy Batson go?
Yeah.
When Shazam comes out or whatever. Well, Pocket Dimension. Duh.
Yeah. So I really liked it, and I liked that there was a lot of quick wit, like under jokes that you had to be paying attention to get on. And then also like you said, when Kid MiracleMan. Like the way he gets defeated was very clever. I like that.
Yes.
He's so cocky.
It wasn't just a fight.
Yeah, he does it to himself. I loved it. It was a lot of fun. The art is absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, the art is on point. Whenever MiracleMan is flying and enjoying his being out of the pocket dimension, he looks so graceful and like so happy. Like, and also at the same token, Mike's face when his girlfriend is telling him like, I'm pregnant with MiracleMan's baby, the pain on his face.
Yeah.
Is one of my favorite. Like the conveyance of those ideas through the art is so good.
He looks like he should be at a bar after a long day of work with a beer, drink like Cheers or whatever. It's like, ugh. Like that's exactly what his face looks like. Life. Yeah, it's like, I don't want to go home.
Yeah,
but yeah, and then MiracleMan's out, and he's like, hell yeah, man.
Well, and if you think about it, like his wife is cheating on him with a better version of him that he knows. It's not like. It's some other guy that that like, oh, I'm fucking better than that guy, or I could win her back, or it's a better God version of you.
Yeah.
There is no way you're gonna beat that.
Again, we're gonna go back to there's no way our wives would be like, wait a minute, you're telling me it's you but better?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, I'm fucking him.
Yeah. Yes.
With you with a 6-pack?
Yeah.
Yes.
A 12-pack.
A 12.
There's packs on packs.
A 12-pack and a vibrating cock.
Exactly. In an ass. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And glutes of steel. Yeah. Oh man.
So yeah, I mean, it's just like it's such a good, it's such a good concept, and just like I said, but it's not just that concept. It's the pain you see Mike have that really sells it to me. Like that whole story arc is like, wow. Like, of course she's gonna want to be with a god. of course he's
Yeah.
gonna feel like you're cheating on him. But it's just that emotion that they portray through the art.
And I can't wait to see where that goes because you know that kid is going to have powers, obviously, when it comes out then.
Right.
So Mike's going to be like, fuck. Like, I can't even raise this kid,
Yeah,
basically.
it's obviously not my kid.
Yeah. So that'll be fun. I'm excited to see where it goes. So all in all, it was fun. It was pretty fast paced for being
For Alan Moore.
For Alan Moore. The art was fantastic. I'm going to give it an 8.
8, yeah.
Yes, this is a fantastic comic, solid story.
I'm gonna give this one an 8 too. Like as a starting, it's a starting point. Because when I first read this, I'm like, I'm not 100% sold on it. In retrospect, with what I've already read further, it is great. I would give this whole series like a 10.
Oh,
but
wow.
like I haven't read the 3rd volume yet, so I was waiting for us to read it. So I will say, I think I will give this whole series
From
a
1 and 2,
overall.
you're giving it a 10. Wow.
Yes.
So 2
But
is that good.
2 is that good. So that's why I'm like, okay. But I don't want to grade this one I'm trying to grade this one on its own. And I think when I first read this, I wasn't like, oh, this is the best thing I've ever read. I was just like, wow, those are like really interesting ideas. I didn't see a lot of that coming. I want to read volume 2, and volume 2 was where I was like, this is fucking mind blowing. So this one I think is a solid 8. Definitely, if I was reading this in issues, I'd be like, what is going on? Like, it's crazy. But I'm reading this as they came out in the hardcovers or whatever. So, yeah, I mean, an 8 from me, an 8 from you. This is about as solid as you're gonna get for. I mean, I can't believe. Like I said, once again, Alan Moore
Just came out of the womb. Yeah.
Fucking good. Get that young. I mean, I know he'd already written stuff for 2000 AD, but like not that much. Not enough. Like everybody should have a learning curve of like, okay, I see like a proto you there. I see the like when you read like early Stephen King and you read modern Stephen, you can see the difference. And
He still hasn't quite got the endings, but
yeah, well, eventually he will get those. Eventually he will get the endings, but yeah, like it just with writers you see that growth generally,
yeah,
from their early work, which you still might like, but you see the growth over time.
Yeah, Stephanie Meyer through all the Twilight.
Yes, I mean fantastic. He's the best. Anyway,
I'm kidding. I'm sorry. No hate on.
Hey,
Stephanie
those
Meyer.
movies are fantastic to watch and make fun of. So so they gave me hours of joy making fun of those. Mystery Science Theater.
The crap out of this.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, this book, I mean, the concept of it, it takes someone like Alan Moore at an independent press to do this. And I want to say this is the first book that ever did a deconstruction of a superhero. I can't think of one from the 70s. Everybody was too up their ass, like no one, DC's not going to allow you to do this to one of their characters.
Yeah.
Back then. And they didn't even allow him to do it to their characters in the 80s. They were like, wait, you want to do this to the Charlton characters? We can't have you doing it to Blue Beetle and Captain Adam. Make your own character. And then he made, instead of the Question, you had Rorschach.
Yeah.
Instead of Captain Adam, you had,
Dr. Manhattan.
Dr. Manhattan. So, like, they wouldn't even let him do it to those characters when he was doing it in the 80s in DC. So, like, the fact that he was able to do it so well at this early and no one else had really done anything like this is kind of, like, amazing to me. Like, just... yeah, it's just crazy. I can't say any more than that. I don't want to spoil too much of like what goes on in the second book or whatever. So,
well, that's what we're reading next week.
Yes, next week we're reading book 2. We both give this an 8. Fucking go pick these up, or at least pick them up digitally. They're much cheaper digitally. I think they're all like $12 digitally instead of $40.
Nice.
In hardcover. So I wanted these because I was like, they're gonna go out of print because fuck Marvel not keeping things in print, and I want to have this whole set in a nice, hardcover set or whatever. So I know that in like 2 years they're going to put out like an omnibus of all of them or some shit, and I'm going to have to buy that too. But at least for now I will have these ones. And yeah, so with that being said, if you have comments, questions, or suggestions, you can email us at planestrains.comicbooks, all one word, at gmail.com.
And don't forget about our Twitter, our YouTube, and our Instagram. YouTube, we've got a lot of exclusives going out right now. Matt's cranking them out. I am finally getting in gear to get some stuff out too. So yeah, keep an eye on that. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, leave us comments, let us know what you're liking, what you're not liking. If we need to.
Oh, and we should say, I mean, I don't think we officially announced it yet, but we did pull a winner for our 100 subscriber giveaway on YouTube. It was a friend of the podcast because he's one of the few people that actually commented.
That comments, yeah.
We were like, hey, I mean, this might be a little bit of nepotism, but because we know the guy.
We put the 3 or 4 names we had in a hat.
Yeah, and we pulled out Otaku Mike, who does the Otakuology podcast. So congratulations. He got a $15 gift card to Comixology. For free for just saying, hey, I like this
just
video.
Saying and listening. So that's incentive because we will do more in the future as we get closer to bigger numbers.
This is our third giveaway.
Yeah.
We've done, we did ones for Instagram. We did one for Facebook.
We did 1,000 Instagram followers, 2,000 Facebook followers, and maybe we'll do more if as we get up higher because the numbers are still growing.
Yeah, we want to give you guys cool stuff. We just need comments or somewhere to pick someone. So, we're very happy Otaku Mike picked it. He is one of our. We'll say he's our number one fan. I'm going to say that. So,
well, it's cool because because of some of the feedback he gives us too. Like we are actually that's how we found some cool mangas with it.
Yeah, and I listen to his podcast. Like I said, Otakuology is one of the ways I at least understand manga better because they talk about like the medium itself and the art. What they break down. I didn't know there's like all these subcategories, and I'm like, I didn't know that shoujo is for girls and shonen is for boys and all this crazy. I didn't know any of that. So I was, I'm listening to stuff, learning about the manga side of it more. And that helps me when I'm like picking books or at least like, oh, that's what this is for. I'm not so much into the, like, I can't read this because it's for girls or whatever. I'm like, the cover looks cool. I'll check it out or whatever. And I'll decide if I like it or not. That's how I read American comics too. I'm never like, Strangers in Paradise is a romance comic for ladies. I can't read that. Or whatever. So like, I just read whatever looks cool or whatever. So check out his podcast with his buddy Jin. They do Otakuology and they talk about manga and nerd stuff and a bunch of other topics.
They do a bunch of mini things too. I know he's doing an Invincible series still right now.
He's doing an Invincible mini series. There's like Jin's doing a Gravity Falls mini series. They do a bunch of other stuff too, like a bunch of other little minis. So check them out. Congratulations to Mike for winning. And thank you for commenting, and thank you for being a fan and listening and all that stuff. So on that note, we will see you on the next one.
On the next one.
Bye.